Hey, hello, we're live now. All right, so we're having all kinds of technical problems here, and I'm sorry. So we just give us a minute here because we are actually sending the link to the new people, to everyone. So if you're here with us, sorry about that. We have some weird problems. We don't know exactly what happened. We're here working with the supports for the streaming app and everything. So we had all this craziness going on, but that's how we do live, right? Live things are like this. We do what we can. Sometimes wrong things happen, but so give us a minute. So welcome everyone here. If you're here for your career, to improve your career, to learn how to share, to submit presentation to events, say hello in the chat, right? Tell us that you're there. I'm gonna get my our guests. We have several guests here with us, and we're gonna get the guests here in a minute. But if you can go social media and help us out, spread out the new link, right? You're probably here because you're already you're already in the channel, and so you saw the new live coming up. So if you can help us out, spread out on social media the new link so people can join us here in a minute. Right. We're also going to send an email if you're here. We're going to send another email with the new link so we can get started. So let me see here. Actually, let me get. I'm going to introduce our guests in a minute, but let me help out. Let me get one of them here so he can help me out here on this little awkward moment, right? So hey, Rodrigo Graciano, how are you doing, man?
Hey, Bruno. Good morning. Nice to be here. Thank you for the invite.
All right. So, Rodrigo, what happens when we only start a live, when we start something, and everything goes wrong, like happened this time?
Oh, that happens, right? It happens with the best, and you need to keep trying. I think recently there was a presentation from Trisha D, and
Mhm.
from JetBrains. You know how many lives she does every single day. Something went wrong. She kept trying. And that's what we do. It's live. Sometimes we have problems. We keep moving forward. We do the best we can, and
That's
I
right.
hope you understand.
That's right. That's right. So we're here today to help you submit talks to events, to help you get to a better position in your career, right? So we're gonna do this in a minute. So let me. So Rodrigo, no, you're one of the organizers of the New York Java SIG, right?
That's
And
right.
that has, you guys have been doing a lot of great events. You have lots of great speakers. So can you tell us a little bit about, what does it take to organize a user group like that?
Yes, absolutely. So just a little background. The NY Java SIG was the first Java user group. It was founded uh, in September '95. So Java came in May and September. The user group was organized. So the first one, and the leadership team has been done a great job organizing events. It takes a lot of effort in the background. We are 6 to 8 leaders in the user group. Each one has different responsibilities. One people take care of the agenda, look for speakers, social media, and everything else, promotion. It takes a lot of effort to organize one event. uh, what we see is excuse me, it's like 1 hour, 1 hour and a half in the video. Everything looks so simple, but it's not. I think today is a proof of that takes a lot of effort to organize one event. So as I said, we distribute um, the jobs. I frequently I've been working to find speakers. That has been my role nowadays, and we need to work as a group. That's not a job that you can do alone. It takes a lot of effort to do it alone. It's complicated, but I loved being part of that. I learned so much from it, and it's for me it's an amazing opportunity. It's a great networking. It's a great way to know a lot of people that if I wasn't part of the jug, it wouldn't be possible. Uh, as I said, some of people that presented at the jug are Java champions, people that write frameworks, and I wouldn't be able to know them probably or to interact with them the way I can. It's just because of the jug.
That's great, Rodrigo. So, tell us how do you invite speakers to the user group?
Perfect. There are different. What we try to do is, as a group, we listen to our public. So the jug has over 8,000 members. We listen to them and we try to identify what they would like to see, what they like to learn. Is that same technology? Is a given presenter that they would like to have? We try to listen. After we define the technology, suppose people want to learn about I don't know, Spring Boot. Then we go, okay, who's talking about Spring Boot? Who is in the moment talking about Spring Boot? Let's watch their presentations. Then is a process. Then we say, oh, okay, we have this guy here, Josh Long. Some people know them. We have Mark Heckler. We have all those people from Pivotal VMware now. And say, okay, let's watch the presentation. Let's watch their material. Of course, for those two names, we don't need it there. Plenty of material from them here, but we look at the presentations, we look what they have done, then we reach out to them, social media or some like that, email, social media. Sometimes there is their websites. We try to locate and try to speak with them. And one thing that helps is the jug is well known, so that helps a lot finding speakers. There are many Java champions that are part of the NY Java SIG, Frank Greco, Chandra Guntur, Gene Boyarsky, Barry Bird. So it makes it really easier. My job is really easy because of that. Because once I say I'm from the NY Java SIG, and there are so many amazing people, Java champions, to back me up, that helps a lot to do my work.
Okay, man, that's great. So let me bring one more guest here. Actually, let me get back here. So let me bring one more guest here to help out Graciano. So guys, we're going to start in a minute the real discussion here. I'm just trying to promote the new link. So if you can promote the new link to your communities, I just posted a tweet with the new link. So if you guys are here watching us, if you can retweet. Then we can actually get started. So just give me one more minute so I can promote you, everyone. Let me bring us our second guest here. So Eyal is the leader of the Jacksonville user group and also the leader of the virtual artificial intelligence user group. Hey, Eyal, how are you doing, man?
Hello, good morning. I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, good. So Eyal, you grew a lot your career by building communities, right? So you built the Jacksonville user group, the artificial intelligence user group. Can you tell us a little bit about how it was to build those communities?
It started a long time ago, so I don't remember anymore. I just want to say that the Jacksonville user group is very different from the New York. Even though it's a large population, we are sort of a less known place, and we don't have gigantic companies here, and it's not a well-traveled place, but still has advantages of being close to certain areas. So first we have some good presenters like Edson Yanaga or Ed Burns that are not very far physically, and they travel through here. They can travel through here or come here. So we had some celebrity speakers coming in, and also during the year and a half that passed since everything went virtual, we could get speakers to just come here without an effort and talk to everybody. So one way, this is one thing you do at every jug, try to bring interesting and attractive speakers. And on the other hand, what we did many times is the presentations were built upon the community itself. So we have a lot of people, or we have at least several people that like to share what they do. They like to tinker with stuff, and they like to look into new frameworks or new ideas that they read about. And then they come and they talk about it, and they share their experiments and their frustrations or whatever else with everybody. And after a while, you all know each other, and it feels like a very secure environment to talk about what you're doing and how things are going. So this is sort of an advantage, I think, that we have over gigantic jugs, but it's also a necessity because we don't always have very attractive or known speakers. We have to rely on our what we have here, on the people that are part of the community. We actually have a lot of people registered to the JAG. I think the JAG has now about 1,000 people, but normally to meetings we would have a very cozy 15 to 20 people coming. The COVID era also sort of made everything change. We have different people showing up, people that used to always come. A lot of them didn't keep in touch. And I think that soon enough we will start going back to the face-to-face meetups. I've seen some meetups already starting where they combine. They do it. You can go and be there in person, but they also broadcast it. So we might in a month or two, perhaps we will start to try that. We will have to find a place to host it first that agrees to. The companies that we used to go to are still closed at this point. Their buildings are closed and they're all work from home. But we either wait for them to open or find another place. As for the other group, the other user group, it's called Enterprise AI, and it was virtual from the start. And the idea of that group was to reach a larger audience across the globe, sort of as far as we can. So we do the meetups noontime, my time, which is East Coast. Jacksonville is in Florida, East Coast. So noontime here is about morning time, San Francisco, and then it's evening time, Europe. And you can maybe stretch it to a little bit farther, and it's still in sort of a time that people can attend. So that was something we started a while ago. I had another person starting it with me. She eventually left, and I have another person running it with me. And here we always were able to bring, because it was virtual from the start, we were always able to bring people that were in the industry and did and basically had usually people who were very familiar with a particular product or framework or technology, and they talked about it. And sometimes there were people that we just saw talk in other user groups, or we found out about them through presentations that they made. And we would bring them over, ask them to participate. When it's virtual, it's easier to get people to participate, but still you need to get to talk to them somehow. You need to make an initial connection.
Okay. That's really good. Now, how are both you guys doing in terms of your user group? In terms of the all of this COVID situation, right? A lot of these groups had to go completely online and no meetups and anything like this. So how are you guys doing on this?
Sure. You want to start, Eyal?
Okay, so first, things have changed. I actually thought right in the beginning that now we had to go virtual, of course, because we could not have it in person. So I thought actually that our audience will grow because people will be a captive audience and they have nothing better to do. They sit at home, so they come and join us, and our numbers at the meetings, our attendance will grow tremendously. But sort of the opposite happened. Actually, it's harder to get people to participate. They seem to be basically because they can go anywhere and see anything. So they don't necessarily need the Jacksonville user group. They can actually participate at the New York or Chicago or just anything else. Or maybe they just have enough sitting at home and watching the computer and being on Zoom, and they want to get out of the house or just lay down and do nothing. So we had some challenges getting attendance. On the other hand, now we could get very easily. I could go to speakers that I know in the past did very well at the group and ask them to present a different subject, come back again. And I actually got people that they basically contacted me from some company, said, "Do you want a speaker to talk at your JAG?" And of course I do. So you win a little bit, you lose on one end, you win on the other end. So it's just a juggling thing.
Yes. I think was the same thing with us. When all the COVID started, the building closes, and we ask ourselves, should we continue? Should we move to virtual model? And I think the answer was yes. I think there are a lot of people that we can benefit from the work we do, and so I think that we own this to the community. So we decided to keep going virtual. It was interesting. We saw the attendees change during this time, but there are a lot of events now virtually, and many people say, I'm not going to watch now because it's going to be recorded. That happens as well. I think the hardest thing to manage it is how you interact with your attendees now, right? So how can we find new ways to interact with them? Sometimes chat is a little bit complicated, so that brings new challenges to the work that the JIG's doing. On the other hand, it was way more complicated to find a speaker. Maybe fly to New York. Someone from Europe need to fly to New York, find a date, and see if the building is available on the date. Now that's very easy. So the same person probably is giving 3 or 4 talks a day, the same speaker. So we can way easily manage the agenda and find speakers. So it's never been easier to find speakers. But on the other hand, I think that's the worst thing that COVID brings is how we interact from our attendees, how we listen to them, and how can we build better events that satisfy them.
So actually, that's a good point. At our meetups, because our meetups are sort of small and we used to have 15 to 20 people at best, we would have a conversation always before the speaker even started. We would go around the room and everybody would ask everybody to talk about who they are, what they do, what they have been doing recently, etc. And I can still do this now online. So at first, I could not completely do it. It was a technical issue, but I now use a platform. There are many other platforms like that, sort of like what we use now, but I use Airmeet, and there are some others where actually everybody can be present. They don't necessarily have to be watching it through a stream. And I can do the same thing. I can say, okay, come and join me on the stage. Tell us about what you're doing and how things are going and what is your interest, etc. And just go one by one of all the people that are attending. There is also a lounge that you can just go and all of you, everybody can just talk together, sort of sit at the table together virtually. So this is one way that technology got us to simulate a little bit more of what we used to do before, and also because the number of attendees is relatively small, we can actually do that. I see.
Okay, guys. So we send the link to everyone again, right? So maybe we can officially get started here. So let me get back here 1 second so you understand what's going on. So thank you, everyone. I can see we have about 20, 30 people watching us right now. So people are starting to find this place here. So thanks, everyone, for being here with us. Sorry, we had this technical hiccup for a few minutes, and then we missed the whole process because we lost the link for the event, and so now we're redoing everything. So we sent emails to everyone. So thanks for your understanding. So here's what we're going to do here today, right? We want to help you understand how you can really grow your career by sharing, right? Look, the most important thing, not the most important, but the skill that will help you grow your career, the skill that will help you control your career is sharing, right? When you share what you know, that's the phrase I like to say. When you share what you know, other people know what you know, and they trust you on what you know. And so when they need what you know, they call you and not someone else, right? So when you share what you know, you get visibility in the market, right? So learning a lot, doing a lot of projects, getting the right skills for development or whatever it is that you're in your career, you do in your career, all those things going to be, it's great for you to get ready for your career. It's great for you to really know what you need to do. But then how do people know that you know that, right? How do people know that you're the best person for their project? How do people know that you're the right person for their team? If they don't know you, if they don't see you in the markets, then you can't really, they're not going to call you, right? They're going to call someone else, right? And there's one thing that most people don't understand, right? Is that we call the hidden job markets, right? No, if you've never heard of that, Google it just so you know what it is, right? The hidden job market. What is the hidden job market? People say, research shows that up to 75%, that's like a huge number, guys. Up to 75% of positions are filled in the hidden job market, right? So what is the hidden job market? Is the markets that you don't see, right? It's the positions you don't see. It's the job offers that you don't see. They're not available anywhere. They're not put on a web page anywhere. They're not. Is that, it is like I call Rodrigo. Hey, Rodrigo, man, I really, really need someone with your skills, right? I know that you're working in financial institutions. I know that you're a very good Java developer. I trust you. I really want you to come work with me because I need what you have. And so that is the hidden job market, right? Up to 75%, depending on the industry, up to 75% of the positions are filled on the hidden job market. That means if you're not there, if you're not visible, right? If you're not participating in networkings, if you're not participating in events, if people can't find you online, if you're not visible, you're out of those positions, right? And this is crazy because absolutely everyone has ability to do that. It doesn't require a lot of things. It doesn't require crazy. No, you don't have to be an amazing speaker, or you don't have to be even a speaker. Right? You can do this through blog posts. You can do this through good networking. You can do this in all kinds of things. You can do this by sharing. When you share what you know, that's when you're able to join the positions on the hidden job market, right? And by the way, look, I've been talking about this for a long time, right? I wrote a book about this, but that term, hidden job market, I learned it very recently, right? I didn't realize that was like there was even a term for that, right? And so I understand that most people don't realize that. And so what you need to do is you need to share what you know. Remember, when you share what you know, people know what you know, and they trust you on what you know. And once you do that, when they need what you know, they call you and not someone else, right? So that's when the hidden job market comes to your door, literally, right? You get someone calls you and say, I need what you have, right? And so what we're going to do here today is that we're going to help you get started with that, right? We're going to help you, present yourself in the market, right? In any way you want. So one question I want to ask you there, right? Everyone's watching us in the chat. Tell us in the chat, first of all, who are you, right? So tell us in the chat where you're coming from, right? So, are you in Brazil? Are you, I'm in Brazil. Rodrigo, where are you right now?
I'm in New York, United States.
All right, Eyal. Oh, Eyal disappeared. Eyal, where are you right now?
In a limbo lands. I'm at home at Jacksonville, Florida.
All right.
It's almost in Georgia.
Cool. So how about you? You're watching us here. So where are you coming from? Where are you? So that's tell us here so we know, so we can have a good conversation. But also tell us if have you ever shared anything in your career, right? Have you ever given a presentation, participated on events, wrote blog posts, right? Have you shared anything before, right? Do you want to share more, right? So no, tell us a little bit about your sharing experience if you have any. If you don't, you can just say no, I never did. That's great too, right? So Dava is from Pittsburgh. So hey, Dava, good to have you here, right? So let me see if that works. Yes, Dava from Pittsburgh. So thanks a lot, Dava, to be here, right? Everyone else, tell us where you're coming from, right? It takes a little for us to see the message from the chat, but it's gonna be good to so keep calm and refactor. I know who this guy is. So that's Scott Rishan. He is in Houston, right? And he presented for his Java user group and at Oracle Code One. So thanks, Scott. Thanks for being here with us, right? So let me ask you guys. Let me start with Eyal. So Eyal, when you start sharing, has sharing, giving presentations. I know you wrote a book also. Has sharing helped you in your career?
Well, in general, I think it sort of changed my life as a developer and as a person that likes technology. It helped me, or it got me to actually get to know a huge amount of people beyond the circle of people who work with me or the people even that I used to meet at the JAG. It opened up the world for me. That is in general. Talking about a career, when you do that, then also companies know about you, or people you start having connections in different places. It can help your career where you are because you have access to more information and you can find people to get advice or to let you know about new things coming up. But it can also help you change your career or find new places and basically advance your career if that's what you were into. It's you don't necessarily have to move to another place to be happy or to do better, but that is one possibility that it opens up for you as well when you do that. I can hear you, Bruno.
I'm sorry.
I can see you too.
How about you, Rodrigo? When you start sharing, did that change your life in any way?
Yes, Bruno. I noticed. I think I hear an echo. I think it changed completely my career once I start sharing. And let me say there are different ways you can share. Like as part of the user group, I think when we bring a speaker, we are sharing this knowledge with all the community. When I write a blog post, I'm sharing my knowledge with all the community. I think it's incredible, the power of sharing. You're gonna make a lot of connections sharing content. Someone is gonna go to your blog, is gonna write a comment. Someone is gonna go to your social media profile, is gonna write something about it, and you can learn with that as well. There was a blog post I wrote, and the maintainer from the project comments on social media, hey, what you did is correct, but there is an easier way to do that. So that also gives you this power to know people that probably you would never be able to contact, to interact, and learn from them, and grow your networking.
Hey, that's awesome, man. All right. So, and for me, let me just kind of add this here, right? So for me, sharing also the same way as you guys completely changed my life, because I was kind of forced into sharing, right? Because Java has just came out, and I was the only person in San Brazil that knew anything about that. So I was kind of put in that position to start sharing. But on the moment I start doing this, that's when that's when my whole career actually started happening, right? Because lots of people start knowing who I was and start asking me to come places and to come to companies. I was invited to found a company, right? That's what I did. The consulting company that I work here today. I was found, right? A lot of my friends I've met by sharing, by being in events, right? So it completely changed my life. And in the user group, right? When you start sharing the user group, it really make a huge difference. So Java is a user group that I helped found in 1998. It grew a lot, right? And because of that, it allowed me to be part of the JCP, the Java Community Process, for example. It allowed me to be on the board of the Open Source Initiative. All of those things only happen because I was sharing, right? So sharing did really, really increase. And by the way, one thing that we don't say a lot, right? But that's very true. When I start sharing, right, I would have to share things, and then people would ask me more details and more information. And so I learned a lot, right? Actually, for me, my learning of Java, right, when Java first started, I did for 2 years. I did one presentation a month for the same people, right? So we had a group of about 100 people that were going through this project at Sun called the Internet Associate Program, where Sun partners would get new information about Java and have a discussion. And so it was mostly me. There's a couple of other people that help it also, but it was mostly me for 2 years sharing to the exactly same people. So I could never repeat a topic, right? And so I had to learn all kinds of things, right? And not only that, they had crazy questions, right? Because they were like really Sun partners, companies doing things with Java, right? So they had all kinds of crazy questions, and I had to I had to answer those questions. Sometimes they would ask questions in one presentation, I would answer the next one, or they would ask questions in the middle of the month, so I had to answer so a lot of my learning come from sharing, right? And one interesting thing, one phrase that I like, there's a philosopher that says, you think that you think when you think, but you only think when you speak. You only think when you write. You only think when you externalize, when you share, right? So the more you share, the more you learn. So that's a big reality also. So I see here, let me see, let me kind of go through, there's lots of people here. So Miguel is from Jacareí. So hey, Miguel, good to have you here. Hi, Yenise. She just said hello. Hugo, I'm from Brazil, Belo Horizonte. Hey, Hugo, good to have you here, man. Cristiano, he wants to be beautiful. Is it possible? I don't know, Cristiano, because I never, that's a skill I never had, right? So, so that's good. So good to see you here, Cristiano, also. All right. So, let me start moving. So you here watching us, right? All of you here. So what is your biggest challenge when you try to share anything, right? What's your biggest difficulty in terms of sharing? Are you afraid of sharing? You don't know what to do? You don't know the topics? What is your biggest difficulty in terms of sharing? Tell us here so we can help out with that, right? So let me start talking here in terms of presentations, right? So Rodrigo, when you give a presentation, how do you get started, right? How do you choose a topic? How do you decide what you're going to talk about? How do you actually the moment you decide I'm going to give a presentation, how do you go about that?
Yes, it's a process. The beginning is very complicated. I didn't start doing presentations so long ago, so it's recent for me as well. I think one thing is important. You need to talk about what you know, what you like. Okay? Otherwise, it just don't work. It doesn't feel right. So choose a topic that's it's something that brings you interest. Okay, what do you like? Oh, you like to talk about databases. You like to talk about Spring. You like to talk about the core Java, JVM, whatever it is what you like to talk about. That needs to be your topic, okay? Because if you like the way you're gonna present, it's gonna show your passion through what you present. So first, choose a topic you like. Okay? From there, you need to start working accordingly to the conference. Some conference is gonna give you 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You need to start presenting to prepare accordingly. Look for help. Ask for feedback on your presentation. I was very lucky when I want to do my first presentation. I asked for help, and I had people helping me and giving feedback on my deck. I even recorded myself giving the presentation so people could give me feedback. So don't be afraid to help, to ask for help. Okay? The community is huge, and you have no idea how much people are willing to help you. So use that, okay? And again, that's another way that you can grow your you can increase your network, okay? So do that. So I would say that first, choose a topic you love, ask for help, and start preparing your presentation accordingly to the event. Always get feedback. There are a lot of people in the community ask for feedback. They're gonna help you, and that's gonna make you know more people and make a better presentation. That's how I start thinking about it, Bruno.
Okay, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. How about you, Eyal? How do you get started with giving a presentation?
I can go back when I actually got started, but I think it always was something that I was doing. So I already was doing it at work usually, sometimes things that I've done maybe outside work. And I thought that it was worth sharing, that it was interesting or cool, at least to me. And my thinking is probably it would be cool or interesting for other people. And then the question is, how do you take this subject that maybe you did at work and you did a lot of stuff? You want to pick the main points and the interesting stuff, and what is the best way to teach it. And my problem has always been making it concise. My first presentations were long and had tens of slides. Could be like 50 slides and take 2 hours. And since then, I think my main subject of improvement is to try to take a subject and make it more concise, lean, how to get across the main points and give the best examples so people will just get it without having to really make an effort like they went to school and try to listen to a lecture and take notes and stuff like that. It should be so. In many cases, the best way is to make it visual, put a lot of time into making good graphics, good visual slides, not to put a lot of text on slides, and give examples. I think the best presentations can be where you actually show code examples. When you can run code, you can do demo, then people actually understand it, what it can do. Even if they didn't get the whole thing, they can go back and then play with it on their own. And the best blogs, the same way to me, are the ones that have the source code available, where you can, it's exactly the same code that is covered in the blog. You can go and run it yourself and modify it, and then you understand it. Something that I learned from Bruno, you really understand something after you did it. If you just heard about it, you have an idea, but it's not the same as when you go and actually do it yourself. So that's actually another thing that I learned from Bruno, that at the end of the presentation, you want to give people an action item. You want them to go and do something about it. If they just heard it and then they go home, then they may not gain enough from it. You need to do something to get them to go and continue doing something with it. And maybe Bruno will mention it later in more detail, but that's an important thing as you present. One other thing, just related a little bit to what Rodrigo said, you can, if you look for a place to give a presentation and it's your fair presentation and you don't know if you maybe feel insecure about it, and maybe it's not a very long presentation, local JAGs can be a good place. Like at our JAG, people can come and just present whatever they want, and it can be just the first 10 minutes, even if we have a celebrity speaker at that day. Because the first half an hour anyways, we go around and talk to people. If somebody wants to just take the opportunity and give a 5-10 minutes presentation, sort of show us what he does or what she does, that's perfectly fine. So look for local JAGs and user groups that are open to doing that, and that could be a very good way to start. Well, the best thing is if you belong to that group already and you sort of know the people, but it doesn't have to be now that things are still virtual, that's also still you can get around, you can reach any user group pretty much, and that could be a way for you to get started.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So now what I want to do now is kind of move into the more practical part of our discussion here, right? I want to help you, you're here with us, to think about topics that you could present, right? Topics that you could do for a presentation. And then this is what we want to do, right? We want to do, so send your question, right? We want to hear your question. You're here to watching us. We want to hear your questions. So send your questions to us so we can help you out in whatever situation you have in terms of sharing. But what I want to do here is go over your ideas. What is it you want to share, right? And so let me quickly, let me see if I do this here for a second. Oops. Let me do this for a second. Okay, so let's think about potential ways for you to find topics, right? So like both Eyal and Rodrigo is talking about, that you have to think about things that you've done, right? So let's imagine, how can you find an interesting topic to talk about? The most interesting topics, guys, in events, in presentations, are topics that are real problems, right? When you have a real problem, then people are interested, right? Because if they have that problem, they're interested. A lot of people just want to talk about the solution, right? So the reality is, people come to a talk because they have some kind of problem. So when you learn a new technology, you want to talk about the solution. Let's say Java, for example, right? So you learn Java, so you want to talk about Java, but what's the problem? What's the problem that Java solves, right? So one good way for you to think about is what are the problems I faced in the last month, right? Or in the last year, right? What kind of problems I had? Did I have performance problem in my company? Did I have did I try to learn something new and I had difficulty in learning it, right? Or did I get stuck in a project? What are problems that I learned, that I went through last year, right? Think about it and list the problems. I mean, I'm sure you have lots of things that went on, lots of things that happen with you, right? That you can talk about, right? I mean, we're not thinking about talking about yet. We're just kind of brainstorming here. What are the problems that I had? Another thing you can say is that, okay, because you had problems, right? You probably had to learn new things, right? To solve those problems, right? So what are the new things that I learned? Okay. So what are the things that I had to study? Did I have to learn to use a new framework? Did I have to learn to use a new programming language? Did I have to, did I read a book about Git so I could be so I could work on Git better in my company? Did I have, I was trying to use a new command in Git and I didn't know how to use it. So I had to go to a /dot article, or I had to search online, or I went to the manual, right, to see how to use that command. So what are the things that I've learned in the last few months, the last year, right? What else? What else can we ask here, right? What are the projects that I did? Projects in my company, right? So is there any project that I working on my company that was an interesting project? There's some. So what kind of project I did in my company, right? That I work on, maybe project could be longer, right? Maybe the next couple of years, right? So what kind of project I did? And sometimes we think about project, but Bruno, I'm only working on this project for years and years and years. That's the only project I'm working on right now. And so, this maybe I only have one project, but that's not really, right? Even on the one project you're working on, you had lots of different things that you had to do, right? So what are those things, right? So what are the things that you had to do in that project, right? And list them, right? You can really go ahead and list things that you've done, right? So other things that you can ask yourself, right? So what are the things that I watch it, right? Did I watch? It's part of the learning too, right? So did I watch interesting talks? Or did I read interesting blog posts? What are the things that I've read that were very, very interesting and that I wanted to apply to my project, right? So you chose, okay, so that one I had to apply, that one I had to apply, right? So those are things that I had some experience with, right? Another thing you can ask is, what kind of tools did I use, right, in my last year, right? Did I use things like obvious tools like Git, Jenkins, right? Those could be interesting things, but less obvious tools, right? Open source frameworks, open source APIs, little utility tools that you had to use, right? So those are like 5 questions that you can ask. Rodrigo, would you ask any other questions besides those, for example?
No, Bruno, I think I love the way you explain, and I think this is also what makes a good presentation, right? The moment you can join a problem, right? Present a real case scenario and present the solution, that becomes so much more interesting to the audience, right? So, hey, I have a given problem. This is how I did. Those are the problems I faced. That's my solution. It doesn't need to be the best solution, the right solution, but it's really helpful. And I just want to add one thing that goes with what you're saying. It's if you want to present to a conference and you say, oh, I want to speak about Google Clouds, and my topic is Google Clouds. I'm 100% sure your talk is going to be rejected. But people don't want to hear about one product. They say, what this product, which problem is it solving? So if you put it another way, if you say, oh, I have a problem. My problem today is that when I need to scale, it takes too long. My data center is bad. I cannot get the right machines. And how changing my project to the cloud help me solutionate this problem? How can I scale now? How more efficient I can be now? So that's the kind of things that people want to see in a conference. That's kind of that talks you need to be thinking about.
Okay, man, that's awesome. That's really, really good. Okay, perfect. How about you, y'all? Do you have, is there any other question that you ask yourself when you're thinking about topics? I think you're muted.
Sorry, I don't think I can add too much to that. I think that's where things are coming from. What it is that I've done, what it is that I try to solve. Sometimes you may look at something and maybe go the other way around, but it's somewhat risky. You can look at something and say, oh, this sounds really cool. What can I do with it? It's like when you have a hammer and you try to find a nail, but it's sometimes a way to get the things too. So let's find a cool way to use it. Maybe I'll use it in a way that people didn't know that I could use it or didn't think about it first. Or let's apply that technology to our problem or to what we normally see every day and see if that is a good way to go about it. Or maybe we'll find out that it's not, but it's still maybe worth sharing. And this could be other things that you can come up with.
Okay, that's awesome. And you see one thing that you might have noticed on everything that we said here, that it is about your experience, right? It is about what you. It's not about the most amazing experience. I mean, the unique thing. I'm different than everyone else, right? It's not about this, right? It's more about your experience. What did you do? What are the things that you tried? What are the things that you experimented with, right? Your experience is very, very, very worthy, guys, right? So don't worry too much about, oh man, but I need to be like the creator of the most important web open source project in the planet for me to have an experience. No, the things that you did on your work, the things that you did on your job, right? The things that you did on your your off time, right? That you were working on your personal projects, right? The things that you did are very, very, very valuable, even if they're small things, right? There's all kinds of different types of presentation in the market, and there are presentation about little tools or little little tips that you did, little how to say insights, right? That's what word I was looking for, like a little insight. Oh man, I was stuck on that thing, and then I had this little insight, and that helped me. So if you can totally do this kind of things. You can totally get your experience and use your experience to share with others.
Yes. I think it's just important to say that it's really important to tell your experience, right? So tell your story, because that's going to go what Bruno said before. So tell your story will make you increase your networking. Bruno, 75%, you said, the hidden position, right? 75% of the positions are hidden. You're not going to be listed anywhere. And right. I recently read an article that said that more than 90% on IT jobs, they are closed based on some networking. So if you're putting yourself out there, you're writing articles, you're presenting at conferences, everything you do to increase your presence and to know more people and to make better relationships is going to help you land a better job if that's your goal, right? Suppose how many people apply to Google every single day? Yeah, your resume may never get to the HR, but if you suppose you wrote a blog article, you put a demo code somewhere, and then that made you know someone from Google and said, hey, I want to work at Google. Is there anything open? And that person maybe is going to be, maybe she's not going to hire you, but you make your resume get to the HR, right? So it's going to actually be written by an actual person. You're increasing your chances hugely doing that. So put yourself out there, expose yourself, learn, teach, right? And increase your network. Mute.
I think that's perfect, Rodrigo. So actually, that gets me to a great segue question, right? So, first of all, before I keep going on, if you're watching us here, ask your question, right? We would love to answer, to help you solve your whatever situation you have in terms of sharing. But when Rodrigo says put yourself out there, put yourself available in the markets. The way that we get started with this, right, is by getting one of those topics here, right? Getting one of those topics here. Choose one topic, one of these things that you said. Just choose one thing here and say, let me talk about this, right? So you can talk about this to your friends. You can talk about this in your company. You can talk about this to a university near you, right? You can talk about this, all kinds of things. But there's one particular place that I want to talk about is you can talk about this in events, right? An event, it's an awesome place for it to be because there's a lot of people there, right? There's the event organizers already prepare to get people that you watch you, right? So you don't have to do that work. It's very hard. You saw us doing here, right? We wanna present things, so we have to announce, we have to put it on social media. We made a mistake, so we had to re-announce the link to everyone. It takes a lot of work to attract people to listen to you, right? So if you participate in events, all that work, someone else does that, right? So someone else works. It could be like a big event, right? Several days event, for example. It could be a small event, like a user group meeting. So if you participate on these, right? So you participate on a user group meeting, for example, Eyal is gonna work on his user group, right? To get people to come watch you. Rodrigo is going to work on his user group to get people to come watch you. So if you participate in events, then there's someone else helping you out in coming to listen to you, right? So that's why we want to help you think about a presentation, right? And how do you submit to an event, right? So how do you submit to a user group? How do you submit to an existing event? So we can actually go over this a little bit here today, right? So when we want to do this, so when you want to submit your presentation, there's two things you need. First of all, you don't need a presentation. I just want to clarify this, right? Until it's approved, you don't actually need the slides and all the presentation. You don't need any of that. What you need is you need to present your idea, right? You need to present it. And there's two things that are needed on an idea, right? The first one is a title. If you want to present an idea or presentation, you need a title, right? What does the title do? The title says which problem you're going to solve, right? So 3 ways to get more performance of a Java application. That would be a title, right? So it says which problem you're going to solve, right? More performance on Java application, right? So you need a title for your presentation. The second thing that you need a brief description of what your presentation is going to be about, right? And so also the title talks about the problem, and the description also talks about the problem, right? Because the solution is your presentation, right? Your presentation talks about the solution. So if you had to deal with a problem, right, or you had to learn a technology because you had to solve a problem, or you had to learn a tool because you had to solve a problem, or in your project you had some problems in your project, or you watched some video to solve a problem, right? What problem are you trying to solve? What problem did you solve? So that is the title of your presentation, right? That's exactly what you want to do. And then the solution, right? The tool that you use it to solve the problem could be the presentation. The technology that you learn it to solve the problem could be the presentation, right? So the title is the problem. What problem you're trying to solve, right? And then a brief description. The brief description mentions the presentation, right? It says, so it's good that you mention on the description how did you, a little bit, right? You hint on how you solve it so people can evaluate if they want to listen to that or not, right? So those are the two things that you need, a title and a description for you to submit a talk, right? So both Eyal and Rodrigo are coordinators of events, right? So they select presentations, they select talks, right? So Rodrigo, what do you think is the best thing? When you're doing this, right? What do you think is the best way? I mean, when you evaluate, right? You evaluate talks, right? So when you're evaluating a talk, so what is that you look more? What are you looking at title? What do you look in the description? Because as an evaluator, that's all we have, right? We don't have the presentation. All we have is the title, the description, and your bio, who the speaker is, right? That's the 3 things we have to evaluate a talk. So when you evaluate a talk, Rodrigo, what do you look for?
Perfect, Bruno. I think that's very, very interesting what you said. We need to look on all these factors, even the bio. Who is this speaker? It's hard to pick a topic from someone. You're gonna Google that person and you're gonna see no material from this person, right? So what does this person do? What is this person trying to sell? If I never wrote an article from this person, she never been in discussions, I don't know, she's not part of a user group. So it makes our life really complicated because we want to open the doors to new speakers. We want to welcome new speakers. But there is a risk there you need to calculate. Can I open the doors to a person that I don't know anything about, that never spoke about the project, that never been into a conversation, a discussion? They're never presented anywhere else. So that's why it's important to put yourself out there. When you're talking,
wait, one thing, Rodrigo. So I'm gonna, I totally agree with Rodrigo. That's very true. But there are some events and some places that are very willing to accept new speakers, right? So we're gonna talk about one example in a minute, right? But I agree with Rodrigo. That's why you have to put yourself out there, because the more you do, the more you're gonna be able to participate on things. But we're gonna give you a hint on how to solve that.
No, perfect. And I think when you're analyzing a talk, a submission, that's one thing that I'm going to look at. Another thing I'm going to look at, is this a commercial presentation? Is the person just trying to sell a product? If that's the case, that's really a no. That's not what you're trying, and I don't think people are interested in that as well. So I love what Bruno's board shows up there. You can tell your experience, right? So your title needs to be catchy, needs to hint us, okay, what is this person trying to do, and what technologies or how this person is trying to resolve the problem. So this title needs to hint us a little bit. Suppose how I reduce my batch time in, I don't know, 40%. Okay, that's something that's okay, interesting. It's a performance. It's reduced the time. There are some benefits there. So that's something I would caught my attention. And then the description needs to be a little bit more elaborated, right? So that's fine. The person reduced the performance, but how? Okay. Then the description needs to give a little bit more information. Oh, I replace Spring Batch with Apache Spark to reduce this job, and I did that and that. Short, concise, but a little bit more. If I have the same problem, right? So I'm having a performance issue, and I look at this presentation, say, person reduce the time to run its jobs. It's reduced the time. It brings value, right? Saves money if you're in the cloud as well. And then you look which technology the person use it to solve it, and then you can refer to that, right? You can create a link to that and say, okay, that's interesting. That's a problem I have, and I want to attend this talk.
Oops. That's awesome, man. So when you say, a lot of times we ask this for coordinators, right? You say, oh, you're selecting a talk. I want to attend that talk, right? But what if the talk is like a basic topic and you are very advanced? How do you evaluate a talk that you know a lot about and say, wow, I want to watch that talk?
I think important is know your audience. Okay, if I want to submit probably a talk on Java 101 to the Code 1, it's not going to get accepted, right? So know your audience, know where you're submitting your talk to. Java user groups are great for that. There are a lot of Java user groups that they do lightning talks. So it's like 5-10 minutes presentation when you are free to talk about anything you want, really anything you want. So know where you're submitting your talk. I think it's great because there are so many people entering the job markets that we need to have this entering level talks. We need to have them, but that needs to be according to the conference. So know where you're submitting, and I'd love to have this entering level. We need them. There are different ways to tell a story. It might have 100 articles from 101, 100 talks from 101 in a given subject, but your way to tell it might be different and might be the one that other people need to listen. Okay, so I'm fine. Submit your talk to the conference, but just know where you're submitting to.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, how about you, man? You're in a very specific area that's artificial intelligence, and it's an area that lots of people want to talk about, but it's there's a big lack of good content out there. So how do you select a talk? How what kind of suggestion could you give for people that want to participate in like on an artificial intelligence presentation? What kind of suggestion would you give for them?
I do think that artificial intelligence has a very large range because you can talk about very basic things, and it's still not the same as coming to Java 1 and talking about Java 1.1 because AI is still very new to a lot of people, or they just want to find out what it is. They want to be introduced to it. At the same time, some people made great advancements, and they can talk about very advanced stuff that only a few other people may be able to understand or to have what you need to get started. But it's still worthy to let them speak as well at some cases. So I think it's sort of challenging in a way. I think in the case that it is not a specialized AI convention, it is an AI track in a larger convention, I think I would tend to look at more basic things that can apply and appeal to a larger audience and get them into AI, even if they don't have a lot of background. So I think I would ideally like presentations that people can come in there with very little background and come out with something, that some understanding of some topic in AI. At the same time, I guess if there are some very interesting presentations that are advanced, and it looks like they will appeal to certain audience, I would go for that as well. But I think this will fit better in a more dedicated AI conference rather than in a track within a bigger conference. But in any case, I think I would try to put myself as a person at the audience and see what does that make sense to me to listen to. Am I going to gain from this presentation? What will be the coming in versus coming out of this presentation? What will it make a difference? And I'd like it to make a difference for the people who are coming to see this presentation.
Okay, that's awesome. So there's one thing that both Eyal and Rodrigo mentioned here that I think is very, very important, is that they mentioned one thing that I did not put here is the audience, right? Okay, so that's a really, really, really important point, right? Because the problem you're trying to solve, it changes depending on the audience, right? On who are you solving that to. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, that you want to talk about, I don't know, delivering applications, right? So you want to talk about delivering applications faster. So you're going to solve that problem. So one of the biggest things that you solved in the last year was that you reduced the time that your application was delivered, right? So that's the problem. Now, who's the audience, right? You know, if you talk about delivering application, for example, for Graciano is here. He's a sysadmin, right? So if you want to talk to reduce the time to deliver an application for a sysadmin, what's his word about? His word about, you know, hosting, cloud. His word about, you know, automation scripts for installing things. His word about, you know, containers and virtual machines, right? That's the thing that he's worried about. So that's why so when you talk about the problem for sysadmins, that's the thing you have to talk about, right? Now, if you want to talk about delivering application, right, or reduce the time to deliver application for a developer, right? So developer is concerned about doing the application, right? So he's more concerned about, you know, solving bugs, you know, deliver pipelines, right? He's more worried about agile development, right? He's worried about how can we reduce those things, right? So in terms of the development application, so it's a completely different talk, the same problem, maybe even the same title, right? But it's a completely different solution, right? Because the solution really is something completely different, right? So if you're talking about delivering application for a CEO of a company, right? And it even depends, right? If you're CEO of a big company, you're going to be talking about, you know, for example, reducing costs or no downtime deployment, right? Because that's the thing that he's worried about, and you know, how to reach lots of customers at the same time. Now, if you're talking about a CEO of a startup, right? He's more worried about time to market, how I can be faster, how can I deliver my application faster. So your audience completely changes the problem you're going to talk about. So that's amazing what both Rodrigo and Eyal mentioned, that you cannot propose a talk if you don't think about the audience that he's going to talk about, right? So, and then there's two ways for you to deal with that. One is you define the audience. So, for example, we're doing this presentation here about presenting, right? About sharing, And our audience is mostly developer technical people, because those are the people that both me, Eyal, and Rodrigo know, right? You, right? So our audience is you. So we're gonna frame our discussion in terms of you, your career, what you want to do, right? Now, so we can define the audience, right? Because we know we want to attract you to come here to watch this talk. In some places, you don't define the audience, right? So if you're going to submit to an event, you don't define the audience because the event defines the audience, right? So you ask the event, so who is your audience? Who is going to watch the talks on these events, right? And so you ask the organizer, so you ask the coordinator. So that's why we're here with Eyal, that's coordinating the artificial intelligence track, right? On TDC, the event we're going to talk a bit later today. And then we also here with Rodrigo, that's coordinating the data track on TDC, right? So that's why we have coordinators of event here, so you can ask them what is it they want, right? So that's great. So Jasar says that I want to talk. I want to create a talk to deliver enterprise software to ARM in the cloud. It's like ARM, the chip. I'm not sure. First, the audience is going to be my CIO. That's good. That's a good audience, man. You see, that's an interesting thing, right? The first audience is my CEO. So that is a great presentation to give, because you're going to present to one person, but that one presentation to one person can be life-changing, right? Because it can really, it can completely change your life, because if your CIO accepts that presentation, he might put you in a position to make a decision, right? So that's great. So now the question is, just talk a little bit more about that. So that your audience is my CIO. So the question is, what is the big thing that he wants to know, right? And look, I'm using Jashar's question here about the CIO. A lot of people say, Bruno, this has nothing to do with the event, right? It's just one person. But that's great, right? When you think one person, it's very hard to think about lots of people. Oh, I'm going to have 500 people watching my talk. What do they want? I don't know, right? It's hard. It's hard to think about people. But it's very easy to think about one person. I want to present to my CIO what he wants to know, right? What is the biggest problem that is in his head? Can I present my presentation in a way that he wants to listen to it, right? Same thing on events. I'm going to give a presentation of artificial intelligence to TDC on Eyal's track. So the question is, who's going to watch an artificial intelligence track? So you can think about, okay, so I have my friend Joe, and Joe is interested about artificial intelligence. So what does Joe want to know? So think about one person. If you think about one person, you can then expand to more people later on, right? So do you guys have any hints for Jashar on presenting about enterprise software in ARM in the cloud, right? The CPU platform, right? In the clouds for his CIO. I'm not sure exactly what the problem you're trying to solve here, Jashar. The problem that I have with your presentation, Jashar, is that I don't know what problem you're trying to solve. What does it mean deliver software to ARM in the cloud? I put in a container and I don't even care where it's running. So what does it mean to you, Jashar? What problem do you see? You guys have any other questions for Jashar so we can help him out?
Yeah, I think exactly that. What's the benefit? Is that going to be a new line of business? How he can profit from that? I think you know your CEO better than anyone, right? So you need to ask, what benefit are you bringing to him, or which problem are you solving? If that's going to bring a new line of business that he can make money of, I think that's the way to go, and that's how you need to build your presentation. But why is that your presentation? Why you want to give that? What's the problem? What's the use case?
Awesome. How about you, Eyal? Do you have any questions for Joshua?
Well, we're still not sure what the ARM is, so it sort of bothers me.
Yeah, ARM is the CPU, right? Is the
like the
competitor to Intel.
Capital ARM.
I'm not sure what the ARM is. So
He said that the issue is that we change it from Power PC to x86. Okay. So what do you need to do? Do you need to recompile all your code? Do you need to, are you, if it's Java, nothing changes, right? So I just think we're not really clear on what's the problem you're trying to solve, right? Is that going to be cheaper? Is that going to be easier, faster? You have more vendors, right? What exactly is that's going on? And Joshua, this is good. You might be thinking, guys, you're not understanding anything I'm saying. And yes, we're not, right? And so that's the problem. Every time you try to propose a topic to people and people don't understand what you're trying to propose, you change it, you improve it, you adjust, you explain it until you are able to condense that in a good way so people will understand. What you want is when you mention it, people say, yes, yes. That's something like Rodrigo said, that is a talk I want to watch. You have to think about this way. So Virgilio says, hey guys, thanks for this talk. Nice. Thanks a lot, Virgilio. Thanks for being here with us. So, come on guys, send us your questions, send your ideas of talks. The user case is to increase data security because ARM v9 has permanent DRAM encryption. Okay. All right. So now you're getting somewhere, right? Now you're getting somewhere.
Yeah, that's better. I don't know how that relates from the previous one with the change from Power to x86. And I think that is very common when you're submitting a talk as well. Don't be afraid to there and be open to listen. Because when I first submit my talk, the conference reached out to me and said, hey, we like your talk, but you need to elaborate a little bit more, maybe change your title, maybe fix this description to be better. So be open to listen as well. That's very important.
So what I'm not clear yet here is, do you have the necessity? It's your requirement to change the processor, and your solution is how you actually do it, or that there is a problem and you are proposing that changing the processor is going to solve the problem?
Okay, so my impression from reading what he wrote, right? I'm just going to say my impression here, right? So I'm putting what he wrote in the screen here. My impression is they say increase data security. So I think he's proposing to change from PowerPC to ARM, right? To increase data security because ARM v9 has permanent DRAM encryption. Okay, so that's a good thing, right? So now one thing you can say is, hey CIO, do you want our application to be very secure, right? Because so that's what he wants. I think the CIO wants security. Now you're getting somewhere because now I definitely think your CIO is worried about security, right? So a few suggestions of titles here, right? 5 security problems we have our application right now, or 3 things, 3 issues, 3 security issues that we're gonna have if we keep on if you run our software on PowerPC, or 3 ways to solve our security issues by changing our processor, right? So those you focus on the needs. Your CIO is definitely worried about security, especially if you're working. I know you Rodrigo, you work on the bank industry, right? Yes. So do you think that a security topic would be interesting for banks?
All the time. It's very important. And remember, you're trying to sell a use case. You need to convince your CIO. It's right. Security, it's always going to be a hot topic. It's always going to be important. Each day it becomes more important. So I think you have a very good idea. It seems to me they have a very good idea. You just need maybe to rephrase to sell better the idea to your CIO. It's a hot topic. List the benefits, choose a title, like Bruno said. 3 things that we can do to increase security, or how I can solve our security issues with X, Y, and Z. Right? I think looks like you know what you want to talk about, but it's missing to rephrase that. Right? Just to sell better to your CIO.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm not going to be waiting too much to introduce this new guy that just arrived here, right? But we have our good friends that came here. This coordinator of the data track, also been helping out in the Java track at TDC, right? And he's here. He's going to help us with all kinds of things. So introduce to you guys, Otávio Santana. Hey, Otávio, how you doing, man?
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here. Hello, y'all. Hello, Rodrigo. Hello, Bruno. It's amazing.
Okay. Good to have you here, Otávio. So, Otávio, we're talking about titles of presentation, right? So you're a coordinator in many, many events, right? So, and you also a speaker that submits lots of talks to many things. So, how do you choose your title of your presentation?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bruno. To be honest, usually the title is something that I put at the end. Why? Because the title is the way to get attention of the audience and also of the coordinator as well. So first, I need to think of one title that's explain a lot, and besides that, pay attention to everybody else. I mean, we need to find one title that, okay, I want to watch this presentation, something like to get this kind of feeling.
Mute Bruno.
You are mute.
All right, I'm back. So that's a very, very good point, Otávio. So one thing I want to tell you guys, Otávio says I put the title at the end, right? So no, he thinks about his topics first and then put the title at the end. And one thing I want to tell you is that the title is the most important piece for you get a talk approve it. The most important piece. Why? First of all, the title, when the coordinator reads your title, he decides right there if he wants your presentation or not in his track. Before he reads the description, he already said, yes, that's a presentation for my track, or that's a presentation for my events. So if they read the title and he doesn't like the title, or he does not understand the title, then he's going to say, I don't want this talk, right? So the title is very important for the coordinator. So, if you don't have a good title, no. Now, the second thing important is the title is extremely important for the audience. If there's not a good title, people are not going to come to your talk, right? So, and in a lot of times, the title is the only thing that the audience is going to see before they start watching you, right? People are not going to read the description. People are not going to read your bio. They're only going to read the title. They're going to decide if they want to come to your talk or not. So my suggestion, Otávio said one thing very important I'm going to expand on. He says, I talk to people. So my suggestion is actually 2 suggestions. One, write lots of titles, right? Don't settle for the first one. Try many until you get to one. Like, yes, that's a good one. And second thing, show to people. Show to your friends. Discuss on social media, whatever. Right? Show to people beforehand, because that's very, very important. Actually,
Yes, and that's one good point, because usually, I mean, even when one person decides to read the description, this person will shot first the title, right? So, okay, this title, pay my attention. I like to know about this. So then the title, I will go to description. I will check the speaker and something else. But first, usually is the title.
Yes, I think the title may not give you a yes. A good title may not give you a yes, but a bad title will give you a no. Right? If you have 2,000 presentations, 2,000 submissions to analyze, you're not going to be able to read every single word, maybe. So title is very important.
That's very true, Rodrigo. Very, very true. I love that. I love that comparison. Okay, awesome. Okay, so going over a little bit here. So Lorena is actually talking about the presentation itself, right? So she asks, you know, how to know when it is time to apply some you know, one or other dynamic for my presentation, right? So I think that, you know, she's like, you know, like different ways of presenting, right? And so you guys have any ideas on actually how do you choose, right? When you're submitting a talk, right? Even before you submit a talk, how do you choose if you're gonna do like a live coding, or you're just gonna do slides, or if you're gonna do a question and answer talk, or if you're gonna do a panel, or if you're gonna do a discussion? How do you choose that beforehand when you're gonna submit your talk? What kind of dynamics you're gonna use it?
I usually talk with friends like Bruno Souza and to get a brainstorm, right? Because, okay, I'd like to talk about this. And maybe the methodology is go, okay, Otávio, it matter if you go to do a live code or maybe do slides, or maybe you can mix between them. But the whole main point is the intention. What you'd like to show to the audience, what's the goal of your presentation. Based on that, you can go into the methodology. Don't do the methodology before.
Perfect. And I think I want to just add something. So Otávio presented at 1,000 conferences. I think Otávio does live the whole day. I never seen the guy presented in 5 different languages, and he's asking for feedback. Okay, so if you're starting, ask for feedback. Different from other areas, I think the most amazing things we have in this Java community, and that can happen in other communities as well, but I'm not part of others, is that people are willing to help and give you feedback. Nobody's going to judge you for that, for asking for help. Nobody say, hey, get out of here. I don't want to talk to you. No, people are very nice. People are willing to help. So ask for help, ask for feedback. That's how you can increase. If an experienced presenter as Otávio asks for help to get feedback, why wouldn't you? It's there. Don't be afraid to ask.
And yes, you can do like everywhere, right? So you can use the local community. Right now, the local community is the whole internet, by the way. Yeah. And you can use your friends, you can use your colleagues, and you can explore that, because based on that feedback, you can improve some points. Especially like us, almost all of us here, we are Brazilian, and sometimes we need to improve our vocabulary, something that we forget to say in English, some expression you can do better, and use this feedback. It's important to you. Besides that, that's an amazing opportunity to practice your presentation, right? Because sometimes I had an idea. I'd like to, for example, I'd like to show an overview about Java 11, Java 17, right? And then decide to do live code. However, maybe if you start what's come up, use the slides, probably it will be better than show live code, for example.
Yeah, great. I think my first presentation that I decided to give, I asked for feedback. As I mentioned earlier, I started building a deck. I sent, so it was one member of my Java user group, Jean. Thank you, Jean, for that. And I sent her the deck. She presented all kinds of conferences as well. She's very experienced. So I gave her the deck. She would say, don't rephrase that, change the color, change the font size, too many words, too few words. I recorded myself presenting, and she said, oh, you're not moving, you're too quiet, talk more about it, change your vocabulary. So be there, ask for help, get feedback.
Yes, that's very true. Ask for feedback. And by the way, look, guys, we have, let me say this, me and Otávio, me, Otávio, and Elder, right? Elder is another very, very good and known speaker, right? We have this little WhatsApp group, right? That the three of us, we keep discussing our presentation among ourselves, right? So, you know, there's actually just today, while we're here in this discussion, right? We're already here in the live discussion. Elder sent us 35 titles, right? For him to you know, the things that he wants to present for us to comment on. And let me use the Elder as an example here, because it was a very interesting situation that happened with him one time. So Elder wanted to present for an event called TDC, the Developers Conference in Florianopolis, right? And so Elder wrote 200 titles, right? 200, you know, he would write titles and we would shoot the titles down. He would write titles and we would shoot the titles down. He would write titles and we would shoot the titles down. He wrote 200 titles, more than 200 titles to experiment. On that particular event, he submitted 11 presentations, 11 to the event. Out of 200 titles, he got down, you know, he ended up building 11 ones, and he submitted 11 presentations. He got 9 presentations approved and 1 as an alternate. So basically, he got 10 of the 11 talks approved, or I think it was 11 of 12 or something like this, right? It was either 10 of 11 or 11 of 12, but he got almost all of them approved because he took a lot of work, you know, to write. I mean, he wrote at least 20 titles for each presentation that he submitted, right? So, you know, spend some time doing this, talk with your friends, have a little group of trustworthy friends that they will be very honest, you know, because the problem that we have many times that we submit an idea, we say, hey, I want to talk about this, and your friends say, hey, that sounds good. It's like you want friends that say, no, it doesn't sound good, right? You should improve this. I don't like it. I don't understand, right? Like we did with Joshua here, right? You know, he told us something we did not understand. So you need friends that will tell you, I don't understand that. It's not clear to me. So you can improve, right? So do that. Do that with yourself. Do that with some friends. Like Graciano said, ask for help. Do not be afraid of asking for help, because that's going to make a big thing, right? And let me just kind of quick here say, Scott, right, from Keep Coding in Refactor, he says a great reference for doing presentation is Presentations Patterns by Neil Ford and others, right? Yeah, so that's a great book. It's a big book, by the way, but it's a great book that gives you lots of insights about presentation. And but since we're talking about books, let me say this. I'm gonna give all of you a book. How about that? I'm gonna prepare here in a minute, and I'm gonna give all of you a book. Neil's book is great. He has lots of presentation patterns. It's a great book, but it costs something. I'm gonna give you a book with 5 patterns, right, for presentations that is free. So let me get the URL here for you guys in a minute. I'm gonna give you guys in 1 minute, right? But while that, you can take a look at presentations patterns. Great suggestion, Scott. Thanks a lot. All right, so we talk about topics, right? That's what we talk about. How to find a topic, how to do titles. So can we talk a little bit about how to submit a talk to an event? What do you guys think? Is it hard to submit a talk to an event? Like, you have to, is that a secret code? You have to know someone special to submit a talk. How does it work for me to submit a talk to an event?
Ooh,
no one knows. No one knows.
It looks hard. It looks hard.
All right, so I think there's two things. There's two types of events that I think you have to understand, right? So let me kind of just say, let me erase the board here for 1 second here, and I think there's 2 types of events that you have to consider, right? It's very simple. One that has a call for papers, and the one that doesn't have a call for papers, right? So I think two types of events, right? Events that have a call for papers, events that don't have a call for papers, right? And so here's the thing, right? So what is the difference? The difference is if there is a call for papers, right? You can just go there and suggest your talk. It does not matter if you have a great talk. It does not matter if you know anyone, right? It doesn't matter, right? You just submit your talk. Because if there is a call for paper, what is a call for paper? Call for paper is exactly how the name says, right? The event is calling for submission. So it's open. It's usually online, but sometimes you send an email somewhere, but there's instructions somewhere where you send your suggestion, right? And then there's people going to decide, even one person, the owner of the event, or a group of people like the coordinators, they're gonna look at all the submissions and choose presentations, right? And then, so you just go and submit, right? You need a title, you need a description, you need a bio, so you can prepare that and you can submit to as many events as you want, right? We can give some suggestions on how to do that. But remember, the biggest thing is the audience. You don't submit the same talk to lots of events. You adapt the talk for each audience, right? A call for papers. And look, you can submit as many times as you want for as many events as you want. Really, just submit to as many events as you want. And then sometimes some are going to get approved, some are going to get rejected. That's how it works. Now, what if the event does not have a call for papers? If the event does not have a call for papers, it's invite only, right? It's invite only. So the organizers have to invite you to speak there. Most user groups don't have call for papers, right? It's invite only. The organizer calls you and say, hey, would you like to speak here? And then you say, hey, Bruno, but if I'm not a known speaker, I'm never going to get an invite. Oh, here's where you're mistaken. Because even when there's no call for papers, the organizers, they want speakers. That's what they're doing, right? They're organizing meetups, they're organizing events. They want speakers. So they will be very, very happy if you submit a talk for them, right? So when
you can invite yourself.
Call for papers, when there's no call for papers, there is an implicit call for papers. You send an email to the organizer and saying, I have this talk. Would you like me to present your event, right? So basically what you do, you treat all events as if they have a call for papers. It's either an official call for papers or is a non-official call for papers that you send an email to the organizers, because that's the way for the organizers to find out about you. Send an email to them. That's what I think.
That's a good tip, Bruno. And there's a lot of things that you can do even before the call for paper itself, right? What Bruno usually says is share what you know, right? So you can, for example, write blogs about what you want to talk about, because usually, okay, your title is amazing. I love your description. And then I go to check your information as a speaker. And guess what? If you want to talk about Java 11, and then I see that you have several articles, several books, maybe, or several presentations about this topic, it will increase the points to you become a speaker on that conference.
Very good. Totally agree with that. So any other, look, Eyal and Rodrigo. Eyal, you haven't spoken for a while, so let me start with you, right? So Eyal, you're a Java's group leader, and not only that, right? You organize events, right? I remember that some time ago you organized an event on AirMeet where you had all kinds of cool discussions there. It was the low-hanging talks, right? You organized that. I mean, the low-hanging event, right? So there was a great event. And so, how do you and I don't think you're in that event. There was no call for papers, and your user group, I don't think there's a call for paper, like official call for paper. So how do you select talks for your user group? How do you accept talks for your user group?
indeed, in most cases, people come to me and say that they want to present. And in some cases, I would approach people from the community because they have done it before and I know they can, or people that now are reachable because because we are virtual, and try to coordinate with them. Also, sometimes I just happen to meet somebody in some event, and once we get acquainted, or maybe it's somebody that I knew from before, and then as we start to talk, I usually ask them if they have anything that they would like to present. And it goes from there. There were occasions that I couldn't find anybody to present because we are, when we were not virtual, and I had to find local people, and then I would just have to come up with a presentation myself. But right now, I think things are as long as we are virtual, I really can find people just by reaching out to them. I actually found that once things went virtual, less people approach me from the community here, more people approach me from the outside. But as we were in person, I usually during the actual meetup, I would have, from the talk among people, I would be able to just talk to people there, and they would end up usually coming forward and suggesting presentations. We actually had one case, maybe interesting to mention. There was a case of a guy who was an experienced software engineer, and he had his own company, but at some point he decided to just find a job on his regular job. And he made a presentation, basically asked to make a presentation to the group, and he basically was talking about all his years and interesting, relevant subjects of things that he've done. And that eventually landed him a job offer. It made him sort of visible within the area, the area community, and actually that eventually led for him to get a job. Even if he didn't, that was a good idea for him to make a presentation.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Yeah, so you see, let me just kind of point out one thing for all of you watching us here. You see that Eyal, he knows a lot of people. He's been doing user group for a long time. He has more than one user group. He's a very very well connected person in the artificial intelligence world. And even then, he has difficulty to find speakers, right? So you that watching us, you can use that to your favor. Every single community leader has difficulty in finding speakers because there's not like hundreds of people telling us, I want to speak, I want to speak, I want to speak. So we have to go after people. So if you send an email, like a polite email saying, hey, I'm a new speaker, I haven't presented before, I'd love to present in your user group, maybe can you give me 5 minutes to talk about this topic, or 10 minutes or 15 minutes? You're going to see how many times those community leaders will actually say, hey, that's great, right? I don't have anyone to speak in the next event, and I'm going to have to give a talk. So, or maybe I have someone in the next event, but I want, it's good to have new speakers. So I can give you 10 minutes or 15 minutes for you to do a short presentation, and then later on we can expand that, right? And that's a great thing. So use that to your advantage so you can start speaking.
I see a question that was, I guess, pointed to me, but I'm not completely sure what to say here. The question is about differences between native and foreign audiences. The question is the presentation going to be different? Or am I going to perhaps, when I choose speakers, I think,
okay. So I think what she's asking here is that when you give a talk, right? Is there a difference when you're speaking to a native audience or a foreign audience? I think that the one thing, Lorena, right now is that because everything's online, there's no more native audience anymore, right? Everyone. And even if you do, even if you do in person, right? There's so many people from so many different places that we always gonna be speaking to foreign people. Actually, think about this group here, right? I'm Brazilian, so there's 3 Brazilians here, and Eyal is from Israel, right? So I mean, so we're all foreigners here somewhere, right? And Otávio lives in Portugal. Rodrigo lives in New York, right? And Eyal lives in Jacksonville. So I mean, like, we're all in different places. I'm the only one that was born in Brazil, lived in Brazil. So we're all foreigners here, Lorena. So I think that the difference sometimes is, the different accents, right? Sometimes it's harder. So, for example, sometimes you see on the chat people that ask questions that are a little bit harder to understand because English is not their native language. Sometimes we have different difficulty in finding the word, right? Because we also don't speak. We're also not speaking English. Actually, Scott, that's here on the chat with us, Scott keeps helping me out on because I miss words. I don't know how to speak. Actually, yesterday we were having a class. I was gonna send an email, and I was showing the email in class, and Scott say, "Hey, Bruno, come back. Let me look at this thing that you wrote right there. No. That word is wrong. Remove that one." Right? So no, yeah, and that's okay, Lorena. We all make mistakes. We all just gonna now. The person, I know the question was for you, y'all, but the person that is more bold, let me say, I think that what is more bold on speaking, even when he doesn't know the language, is Otávio. So Otávio, you go everywhere, you travel, you speak in French, you speak in Italian, you speak in Spanish, you speak in Portuguese, you speak in English. How do you do that, man? How do you speak all kinds of different languages, even when you're not very fluent on them?
Oh, that's so easy because even if you do a baby step in the language, if you say a couple words in Spanish and French, it's better to friend native that can see that you are trying that language and then miss something, then speak the whole thing in English, right? For example, when I did my first presentation in French, sometimes I forget the word in French, and then I did a question, how can I say that in French? And then the people start to do interaction. And it was also ice break to me because a lot of people could see that I'm trying to speak in French, and they thought, okay, if this person tried to speak in French to talk with me, why not should I do questions about technology, right? And that was a nice strategy. Sometimes even when I know that word, because I'm doing that I'm trying to do that like every week. I pretend that I forget a kind of word to start this kind of interaction. And yeah, it works every single time.
Right.
And I try that in, as Bruno said, it's a couple language, and it is impressive how the people could see that you're working hard on that, and they start to do question, try to help you in the native language, and that's create a kind of relationship between them.
That's right.
I think what Otávio is saying is very powerful to show that you're putting so much effort to bring a better presentation. People know it's not your native language, and you're there, you're exposing yourself, you're making an extra effort to try to speak on their language. But that's very welcome.
That's awesome. So, you do work with big teams, right? So do you work with lots of people, they're foreigners? I mean, especially because you're there in Florida, right? And Florida has actually there's multiple languages being spoken in Florida all the time, right? So how do you deal with so many languages and so many people from outside?
It's usually pretty natural. English is the common language in most cases. I don't really speak any other languages other than Hebrew that pretty much nobody here speaks. So I speak English most of the time. I think in English, and other people do the same. I do have an accent, and sometimes I encounter people who are having trouble understanding me, and I try to just be more, to talk more slowly, talk louder, etc. And also, I think naturally when I speak to an audience, I try to step up my without even thinking about it. I would speak a lot louder and slower when I talk to a larger audience. So I think if there is an issue, usually it's more one-to-one than in a presentation. But there are, in all the companies I've been, there were a very interesting mix of people that came from many places, and it usually made the place fun. It was just, it's beyond the actual work. There was always a lot of interesting interaction. Some companies also, including the company that I work now, they also have offshore branches. So at work, I sometimes work with people that are not located in the United States, and we still have to communicate. Then you also have some issues sometimes with the time zone, and you have to manage. So sometimes they stay late so they can communicate with you in person, and you need to appreciate that. And if they need something, and you know that if you're not going to give it to them by the end of the day, and then when they come back at work in the morning, they will have a problem. They will have to sit idle and wait for you to wake up and come back and work with them again. So you do have to be more considerate when you work with people in other time zones. Sometimes actually different time zones can be an advantage. If you work on the same project, you can make some progress, and then they take over and they make progress, and you keep changing places, and you can actually make a lot more progress this way. If you are on the same mind, you do things while understanding exactly what each group is doing.
That's awesome. So Lorena did like our answer because she said awesome, and then now she said, "Thanks, Guy. Great presentation." Thanks a lot, Lorena, for your questions. Now I'm gonna move because we are almost here 2 hours here, so let's kind of move to one more step here that I think is important, is submitting the talk itself, right? So we talk about titles. I mean, we talk about find a topic. We talk about titles. We talk about audiences. We talked about call for paper. So now I think it's the time for us to talk about submitting the talk itself. Now, before I do that, one thing I would like to kind of offer to all of you here is a little gift, right? So because you're here, I'm gonna give you my book. It's called Low Hanging Talks. It's a small book that I wrote that's specifically to help you give talks, right? So low hanging talks are easy ideas to speak. You can go, even if you're shy, even if you've never spoken in front of an audience, right? This book gives 4 places and 5 tips for you to start being an amazing speaker, right? So 4 places that you can present today, right? We start very simple place you can present today even, and 6 easy presentation styles that you can apply to present, right? So this book I'm giving you for free right now. That's the URL. That's the QR code right there. So, download the book. It's completely free, right? And it's going to give you some good ideas and tips for you to start presenting right now, right? And the idea of this book is to help you break the ice, right? And not be nervous anymore about starting to present. And so download right now. I'm gonna leave here on the screen for a minute while we're gonna get ready. So Otávio is gonna do a demo for us, right? Otávio, are you ready to do a demo for us, Otávio?
Yes.
All right.
I do.
So if you can start sharing your screen, so I can put your screen in the screen in a minute. Okay. So yeah. Everyone done that? Have you downloaded the book? Have you clicked on the link right now? Take a picture, take a screenshot, download the book later. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, last minutes. Okay, I can show this later if you want. But all right, okay. So there's a couple. So I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but Rume says very good tips for call for papers, right? I'm going to use going forward, and they say a lot of the tips on call for papers. So I think call for papers is extremely important. So Otávio will show us how you can submit a talk to. I see your ID right there, Otávio. I'm not sure if that's what you're showing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so before we do that, before we go to the demonstration, Alberto has this long question here. He says, regarding what Otávio said, it's so important to walk towards your fears step by step. presenting something, or even either presenting something or even in another language, right? So good to see you all. So thanks a lot, Alberto. That's very, very true. We need to face our fears, right, and start presenting. That makes a big difference. Actually, let me tell you this. We've said here before that presenting will show you in the market, right? That's what Rodrigo mentioned before. That's what Eyal told his story about how that happened to him. And one of the reasons when you present, people will trust you is because everyone understands that it's very, very scary to present, right? So when you present, people say, man, that guy has a lot of confidence, right? Because he's presenting. Oh, that girl has she really is nailed this because she's presenting, because she's facing her fear. He's facing his fear, right? Because of that, you build trust. So you're totally right, Alberto. We need to do that. We need to share. That's a great way to build trust in the market. Perfect. So let's see how you can submit a talk.
Yes. Let's go. Let's do it. To submit the talk, I guess we talk a lot about it. So go to the title. As Bruno said, write a couple titles. Don't worry about the size. It's a part of presentation.
I think we see an IDE there, not a call for papers, but that's okay.
Yes. Don't worry about that.
All right. Okay,
I will show why.
And this is very small.
Yes, don't worry. That's
Okay.
part of plan.
Good. All right. So go ahead. It's your show. Go ahead.
The description, okay. Take feedbacks about everything. Oh, thank you. Besides that, go do practice every single time. If friends, you receive feedbacks, and in the day that you decide to do a live code first, guess what? Check the size because it's matter. Because if it doesn't matter if you write a nice code, if I write a beautiful code, if nobody are able to see that, it becomes useless, right? Thank you, Bruno. But I said it's part of the plan. So if nobody are able to see, increase the sound, the size. That's why it's important to show to somebody else, to receive feedbacks about every single step. That include the live code itself. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I gave you my feedback, right? So you can.
Yes. I'm not sure if there is a magic number here, but usually I put 27 on my Ubuntu, both and the season and also the font size. So here 27 as well, and I usually prefer light colors like IntelliJ Light, and that's usually a little bit better than dark theme like this one here. Let's show to you this one here. Usually the people agree that the light color is much better to read, to understand, and to follow step by step. Let's return here.
Yeah, light colors are great, are better if you're doing an online presentation like Otávio is doing right now. Dark color, the dark side, the dark mode is better when you're doing when there is a projector, because then it doesn't get so bright in people's face. So
yeah, good tips, Bruno. Thank you. Check the size. Okay, let's do it again. Practice. Then practice with somebody else to check if everything's okay. Then before the presentation, check the font size, because the size matter when you like to show some details about the code and something like that. In the Java world, we have managed build time like Maven or Gradle. Make sure that you run the command to download the whole internet before the presentation itself. Right? Because I already did here, but before the presentation, you can run MVN, clean package, MVN verify, MVN wherever. What matter is when you do your presentation, avoid this kind of thing, right? Because sometimes you might not have a good internet. Maybe the server that had the whole information is out, and you'll be a little bit difficult. Uh, for sure, right now everything depends on internet. However, try to decrease as much as possible, as much you can. This kind of dependence. Uh, Besides that, try to split the code in small classes or something that you can handle step by step. For example, here, I have this class here, and I can choose this class here to talk about, I don't know, the new var definition, like this thing here, right? In the second class, I can choose to talk about string API. Why that? Why should I not use the same class? Why should I not at least avoid two? Because if something goes wrong here, like for some reason this code does not work, I can just say, okay, guys, it's not working. Let's move on to the next topic. But for some reason, this class depends to the next step. You're not able to move on the next step. It will be a little bit difficult to to move to the next step because the code does not work. And if you do this kind of thing, if you try to do small step by step, it will be easier to say, guys, it's supposed to work, but unfortunately not. However, you show the whole code in the GitHub repository or something like that, and then move on to the next step. And yeah, sometimes you need to give up. Don't spend too much time to try to find the error for some reason. Just skip and then move on. And I guess that is it, Bruno. I don't want to spend a lot of time here because the goal is not to choose the topic about live code, but before, be aware about that. So choose you are mute. You see you mute. I'm not sure who is muted right now. It's me, it's Bruno, I don't know. Rodrigo, could you help? Could somebody type who is mute right now? Because I'm not sure.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, okay, I didn't realize that was me. Okay, so just kind of put some context here. Otávio is presenting here. Because one of the main types of presentation that you can submit is live coding, right? So live coding is when you run, your presentation is basically doing code live at the event. I mean, I'm sure all of you have watched that. And Otávio is a great live coder. He does that a lot. It's most of your presentation live coding, right, Otávio?
Yes, I usually like to do that.
Right. So Otávio is kind of showing us how to do a live coding presentation. That's great. So yeah, you can finish it up, Otávio, no problem.
Those are the steps. So check the phone, practice, and try to do step by step to avoid that you are struggle with something else. And then understand that if you are not able to fix that point right now, just comment the code, clear the class, and move to the next step.
Awesome. So Otávio, there's one more live code I want you to do. Okay. So you are an expert in submitting talks to events, right? So can you show up how you submit talks? So we have a great event coming up. That's the Developers Conference, and the submission for presentation for the Developers Conference ends next Friday, right? So you have one more week to present on TDC. Can you show us how to submit talks to TDC?
Yes, that's also hard. Bruno, do we have the link here? Could you share the link?
Yes, I think I'm going to ask Rodrigo to share the link for you, right? So we're going to put the link here to...
As you can see, I'm the browser right now, so...
All right, guys, because here's the thing. Let me just kind of remove your here for a minute. All right, so So one thing I want to invite all of you, right? You know, the four of us here, we are coordinating this event called TDC, the Developers Conference, and the Developers Conference is it's the largest Latin America developers events of all, and it's now completely online. Right? This year is going to be completely online, and so no matter where you are, you can submit talks to TDC. But this next event is going to happen in June. TDC will be it will be an international event, right? So we actually have 6 tracks. They're completely in English. So you're welcome to join us at the event, right? But we also want you to be a speaker in one of those 6 English tracks, right? So what we're going to show you now is how you can submit. You know, remember that you already thought about a topic, you already thought about your audience, you already thought about a title, right? So now I want you to submit that talk to TDC, right? So let me get Otávio's screen back on here, and let me get out of here. So let me get Otávio's screen back here. So
okay, thank you, Bruno.
Yeah, so Otávio's going to show. Otávio, if you can increase the font a little bit here.
Yes, yes.
Otávio is the coordinator of the Java track and the coordinator of the data track. Rodrigo is the coordinator of the data track. Eyal is the coordinator of the artificial intelligence track, and I'm kind of helping in all of the tracks, right? So you know I want you that are watching us here to submit a talk to TDC, and Otávio is the guy that submits so many events, submit a lot of talks to TDC. So Otávio is going to show us how we can do that. So now you can get your title, you can get a descriptor you thought about doing this conversation, and submit today to TDC. And we're gonna run another of this meeting next week. I don't know, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I'm gonna work with these guys here to when we're gonna do that to help you submit your talk to TDC. So Otávio, go ahead, explain to us how to do that.
Okay, first we need to have the link. That's a good first step.
Yes, I'm gonna put the link here in the chat. Okay, for everyone, I'm gonna put the link here on the chat.
Oh, Bruno, thank you. You're amazing. Thank you, Rodrigo, to help me out on that. As you can see here, the homepage of Call for Paper. And the first step is for sure create the sign in. You can create your home. I usually prefer to avoid a new password. That's why I prefer to use Auth2 with Google or with LinkedIn, with Twitter. But usually I prefer Google. And then I choose my account. Here, a good tip here is about fill up your information. This is crucial. I mean, check if everything is okay. Put your name, details, picture, put your bio. Why that? Because for some reason, I'm competing with Rodrigo because we submitted the same title, the same topic. One way to see each one I will choose is check the bio, check if Rodrigo has several books, if Rodrigo is a commuter or something like that to decide each one I will choose. Okay, so check your info, update this info, and then, well, something goes wrong here. Okay. You have the option to, let's do again, to create a new proposal, right? So come here. You can put some title, some description here, like the survival guide for Java Architect in the cloud era. The point here is the summary to your presentation to the attendee. Oops, yes. Where, remember, the title must be the first important point of your presentation. So spend a lot of time, receive several feedbacks, and so on. And then when it's ready, put here, the summary is the description of a presentation. And then here is only to the program committee. You can put some tips, some details, some topics. For example, here's my description. My description about the guide for the Java Arc in the cloud era. And here is how I want to do. For example, I want to do, I will run a live code about cloud, and then I put the topics here, cloud, the service and cloud, oops, and then Java in the cloud, how to use Java in the cloud, and so on. So remember, always receive feedbacks, check for somebody else review, choose the language. In this case here, we don't have this option because it will be in English. So in English, and the talk, right now we only have one option, that is 35 minutes. And the track. For sure, as I put here, I will choose the Java Architect Guide. So I can choose both cloud or Java, but in this case, I will choose the Java track. The audience, so if the audience has any kind of minimum requirement about cloud, for example, or about Java.
So Todd, when you say you can choose both, is because you can choose both, but on you submit, you can only choose one, right?
Yes, exactly. Good tip, Bruno. Yes, you will submit one here. If you want, you can submit the same topic again to another track.
Okay, good. So you can do two submissions, but our suggestion is that if you do two submissions to different tracks, that you change the description. You might even change the title to adapt to the track, right? Don't submit the same talk to many tracks, because coordinators see that, right? They see, oh, this guy here submit the same talk to every track, and then they're gonna say, well, look, this he did not think about my track at all, right? So they're gonna end up rejecting you.
Yes. And then the audience, I usually, if something like is introduction about technology, is to a guy who has any kind of minimum requirement or to experts. My advice to you is, in TDC you have all kind of audience. So try to first make the history to fill up the whole kind of level in your presentation. So try to achieve some knowledge to the beginners, to intermediate, and also to the seniors. Even if at the end you put some books specifically to the senior developers, some architects or something like that. But I always think that we have all kind of audience level on your presentation. Bruno, do I increase something else?
Yeah, I
Rodrigo?
think that unless the event is a very basic event, right? I would never put your talk as basic, right? Talks that are basic, I usually, although the event says that you can say that, right? But unless the event has like a basic, like a basic track or something like this, do not put your talk as basic, because people the coordinators kind of say, well, no, it's a basic talk, I don't want to do that. I always put intermediate or advanced or something like this, because you can always get a little bit more content on your talk for more advanced audience, right? So that's one thing. Now, Otávio, there's two things that you said. That you put a description, you put a summary. Is that? Can you explain the difference between a description and a summary?
Yeah, the description is specifically to the whole audience itself, and the message to the program committee is private, so nobody else gonna see. That section will be the program committee. And I usually put the methodology that we'll use in the topics this way here. So for example, I put the topics, how, and and the goal of the presentation. So this message here is more about the spoiler alert. So here, spoiler alert.
Right. Yeah. So basically, the events call these different things, right? So, but the information for the committee is going to help the committee decide that your talk is the right talk, right? So one thing that I do a lot on that part is say, for example, mention companies that are using. Let's say you talk about a solution. Mention companies that are using. Mention real projects that you use that thing. Doesn't need to be long, right? Just kind of give a hint that this thing you're going to talk about, you really have experience with it. Because sometimes it's hard to see your experience from your bio, right? From your profile. It's hard to see your experience looking for you on the web, right? So let's say you talk about, I want to talk about Java, and then I look at you on the web. I don't see a lot of things about you about Java. But if you write on that session, you say, look, I'm you don't have to explain, but I'm just kind of, you're thinking, right? Well, I'm not very known in the industry, but let me say here, I'm the main architect of this big project here, and I did this other big project, and I did this other big project, and I applied these techniques on those projects. Then it helps their coordinator to say, oh yes, okay, so I can't find anything about this guy, but he's doing all kinds of these internal projects that are important for us to talk about. So that's one thing that it's not very usual. It's not clear in any of those sites that you should put this kind of information, but I have been very successful by doing that.
Thank you, Bruno. Good tips. Intermediate. What type of presentation will it be? So choose widely each one. So live codes, slide only, slide and code, no slide and code. Probably just Bruno, you use this one here, right? I don't know nobody else.
Well, the four of us here are doing that, right?
True.
Oh yeah.
No, Otávio just did the live code.
Yeah, Tom is doing the live code right now. Yes. Okay.
Yep. And this moment here is like any kind of software license. You just say yes to everything else and say and go forward. I'm kidding. So it's aware about the privacy policy, and if you're okay to record your presentation, and if you want to do the presentation meetups and user groups, something like that.
Okay, that's a very important thing, guys. You see if you're okay, if you record the presentation. This is very, very, very important, because if you say you're not okay in recording a presentation, then your presentation is less valuable for the event. Let me say that, right? The presentation is less valuable for the event because a lot of events record the presentation and they put the presentation available later on for people that could not watch. Sometimes people that paid but could not be there. So if you say that you don't want to record a presentation, that's a problem. But you can say that, right? So if you're going to present a topic that it cannot be recorded, maybe you want to think about, okay, so actually let me present a different topic, one that can be recorded. Let me remove some things from my talk so the talk can be recorded, right? Think about that, because it decreases the value of your presentation, decrease the value of the presentation for the audience, decrease the value of the presentation for the group. Now, if you are like a professional speaker that you want to, that you want to kind of reserve that presentation for for special talk, it happens sometime, right? So for example, we were talking to a keynote speaker some time ago, and he said, look, I'm going to present that talk, but it's a very special talk, but that talk, it's special for this other event I'm going to do, right? So I can't present to you before I present to the other events, only if you agree to not record my talk. So that could happen. There could be a reason for you to do that, but in general, you want to. And by the way, if your talk is not recorded, less people are going to watch it. Let's think about it, right? Less people are going to watch it. So record your talk. It's also a good thing for you to allow.
And yeah, if you want to know more about the privacy policy of the TDC, you have the links here. So the code of conduct, where a couple of, you got a couple of suggestions, and yeah, and then I finally find a bug here, Bruno. That's happened when you decide to do something live, right? So we need to translate the code of conduct to English as well. But guess say yes to my privacy policy. I say yes to recording. I'm okay to do my presentation to local meetups, where local means the online meetups. And then I will have the preview here, the title, the type, and the track, just to check. And then I will save. One important point, it's not submitted yet. Therefore, I need to click here to submit. Yes, I can add more, add and remove a speaker here. For example, I want to come
A quick
on.
question, Otávio. So before you submit, you can add it, right? As much as you want.
Yes, before
Right.
submitting.
Now the question is, after you submit, can you still edit?
Good question. I don't know. I will check here. I will submit and then try to add Rodrigo here. So never did that before. Rodrigo. Rodrigo, where are you? Rodrigo.
Oh, and there are
Rodrigo,
more.
what's your second name?
Graciano.
Graciano here. Yes, you can.
Okay. Now can you add it? Can you add the submission itself?
Yeah, after submitted, you can add it. As you did here, right? So I submit and then I can choose add or remove any kind of speaker.
I know, but can you add the text of the submission?
The text?
No,
No anymore.
No, no
Once you
anymore.
submit it, you need to create a new one, or you can delete this one and create an rewrite everything.
Okay, good. So here's the point, guys. You can create a draft representation, not submit it, right? So you can do this right now. So my suggestion to all of you is go to the link I just put there in the chat. I'm gonna put in the chat again.
Oh
right?
no, you can.
You can?
Oh, sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just saying that. Yes, you can submit it. You can write your talk right now, and then improve it during this whole week. So by Friday, when's the last day, you can go there and submit your talk. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Otávio, I think that was great, man. So now just so we can finish this here. Let me see if there's any questions on the submission process. Anyone in the chat, please let us know. But one thing I wanted to end is here. So if you don't know what kind of talks you can submit, right? Remember that I put here this little book, the low-hanging talks book, that you can download. It can give you some good ideas on what kind of talks you can submit, right? So take a look and download this book if you want to. But one thing first to finish this here, I just want to go over with each one of the coordinators and just kind of your last thoughts on what kind of talks you're waiting for your track and what kind of things people could submit that would be interesting for your tracks. Right? How are you guys thinking? Let's end with that. All right. So who wants to start?
Oh.
Okay.
I guess I can start.
Okay, go ahead, Eyal. So you start. So Eyal, you're coordinating the track for artificial intelligence, right? So
yes, we actually also recognize that there is some overlap between artificial intelligence and the data, so we might look at both papers, even if it's submitted to the data track. But I think it's best to submit to the track that it fits better. At the AI, we feel that AI becomes very important, has grew up a lot in recent years, and soon enough will be a commodity. You will have to deal with it no matter what you do. So we would like AI to be understood and recognized and not be a mystery for basically anybody that does technology, any programmer should know something about it. So generally, I would welcome things that are basic, introductory, bringing people from zero to something, plus anything else that is interesting, relevant, recent. There are many fields in artificial intelligence. The biggest one is machine learning. There is deep learning, which is sort of an offshoot of deep learning. Natural language processing has progressed a lot in recent years. And then there are some other things like robotics, process automation, that all of them are very large fields. There is a lot to be talked about. There is a lot being done. So I think there is a plethora of subjects that we can look at. But again, it doesn't need to be state of the art. It doesn't need to be something complicated. It could be things that here is something I've done. Here is, and people can learn from it, and they can get into it, and then they can continue from there. So these papers will be welcome. That's pretty much my message here.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks a lot, y'all. How about you, Rodrigo? You're coordinating the data track, right? So what can you suggest? Wait, Lorena says mine too, y'all, but I should submit a track for the test talk, the testing track. Okay, yeah. So Lorena, there's no testing track on the English version of TDC. So right now the only call for paper that's open for TDC for the next TDC is on is the English tracks, right? So there are 6 tracks, and testing is not one of them, right? So the tracks are, help me out here, guys. The tracks are Java, data, artificial intelligence, agile,
DevOps,
the cloud and DevOps, right? I think it's cloud and DevOps, and
service. The last
is career one of them?
No, agile, API and microservice,
API
cloud and
okay,
DevOps,
yes.
data, artificial intelligence, and Java.
Okay, good. All right. So yes, Lorena, you can submit to the next TDC, but if you're doing testing, Lorena, and your testing is done in the cloud, right? So let me repeat here: agile, APIs and microservices, cloud and DevOps, data, artificial intelligence, and Java. There's 6 tracks, right? So if your testing, Lorena, is in testing Java apps, for example, you can submit your Java track. If your testing is testing in the cloud, you can submit your cloud in DevOps. So you can adapt. If you're talking about testing in an agile project, you can submit to the agile track. So you can adapt what you want to speak about, Lorena, to one of the tracks, right? So think about how your presentation, how your solution will help people in one of those tracks, and submit anyway. Okay, so you can always adjust your talk to the tracks that are available. So don't worry about that.
Perfect.
All right. So Rodrigo, you're organizing data track, right? So go ahead. What do you want to say?
Perfect. I'm gonna read the description of the data track because I think it's very, very good. So the data track is for all the data wranglers, number crunchers, data science, and analytic lovers out there. He will learn about leveraging data to the fullest extent and about the tools and techniques that will enable you to gain new insights from it. So what we're expecting here, everyone work with data, but to what extent? Do you have a problem that you solve it with big data? How you use your data to extract information, how you transform your data. So these are all kind of topics that we're looking for. We want to learn about your problems, how you solve your problems, and I think that's what we want to hear from on the data track.
Okay, man, that's awesome. That's totally awesome. So Alberto's asking, what about submitting to similar tracks? For example, regarding data, use mlogs to create your data better. Okay, so that's a data question. Do you want to answer that, Rodrigo? So it says it's okay to submit the same descriptions to those four. Yeah, that could be applied to big data track, or data architecture, or even data science, or artificial intelligence. So first things first, Alberto. So we don't have the separation of big data, data architecture, and data science on the English version of TDC, right? So we're talking here about the English version. So let me clarify that. Right now, the call for paper for the Portuguese version of TDC is already ended. There's no more call for papers for the TDC for this next edition. If you want to submit for a future edition of TDC, yes, you can. But right now, for this next edition, it's only the English track. And the English track is only 6 tracks. I'm going to repeat those 6 tracks here. They are Agile, APIs and microservices, cloud and DevOps, data, not big data or data architecture, just data, artificial intelligence, and Java. So there's 6 tracks only for the English version, right? So so you can just submit to the data track. That's an easy one, or the artificial intelligence track. So that's an easy one, right? So I'll let Rodrigo answer. Rodrigo and Eyal answer about their tracks. But you also ask, it's okay to submit the same title and description to those 4. No. I don't think so, right? My suggestion is never submit the same presentation to more than 1 track. Try to think about what your presentation is for that particular track. But then you say, but Bruno, those are 4 tracks that are very similar. I don't know the difference. Well, if you think it's very different and you don't understand the difference, maybe you submit to all 4 tracks and you put a note for the coordinators and say, guys, I don't know which is the best track, so I'll be very happy with any of those 4, right? And so let the coordinators help you out of that. But my opinion is that if you take the effort to think about which track is the best one, that's going to help the coordinators understand, and they're gonna feel a lot better if you take the time to do that. So now coming back to you guys,
also it might be a bad signal to the program committee, right? Because you put exactly some presentation to a lot of tracks. That seems like you try to fire a machine gun to find the target. It's not a good. It's not a good sign.
Yeah,
if you have.
We actually had one time, Otávio. We have one guy that submitted the same talk to every single track.
We have this case. We need to understand, like, each track has your home audience, your home target. For example, like the sample here, right? So I will you do a presentation about Java in the cloud era, right? So I can focus more in Java and talk about cloud. Mm-hmm. However, if I take a similar topic to the cloud track, I need to focus more in cloud because the audience is not just Java developers. We have Python developers, we have PHP developers, we have Python developers, and so on. Right. So remember the audience. The audience matters in all circumstances. That's why we are running the conference.
That's perfect, Otávio. That's perfect. So let me ask here for Eyal and Rodrigo. Alberto says a talk, M loops to create your data better. So what suggestion do you both give to him if you wanted to submit to the data track or to the artificial intelligence track?
Is it perhaps ML ops, like DevOps for machine learning?
Yeah, ML. Oh, yeah, you're right. ML. Okay, machine learn ops. Okay, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, you are the guy on the track, not me. Okay, perfect. Yes.
I may be not completely understanding what the meaning of ML ops, but the way it looks to me is more like a data. To me, it looks like what is the DevOps that relate to deploying data services, crunching the data, etc., and cleaning the data, the pipelines that have to do with. I think this is what MLOps is referring to. So it sounds to me more of a data than AI if you have to choose. But Just I also believe that both of us, both the committees of the AI and the data, will probably look at the submissions from both tracks, and we might decide that this actually goes to the other track. So you don't need to worry too much about the overlap between these two tracks. You will probably be seen by both.
Yeah, and just want to emphasize what Otávio said. Where it's going to be the focus of your presentation? It's going to be on the machine learning part of it or the data part of it? Just keep that in mind.
And who's the target?
Yeah.
And generally, it can also fit in the DevOps track as well. So that's to make it more complicated.
All right, perfect. So Otávio, your turn, man. What would you say either for the data track or for the Java track? I mean, Rodrigo already talked about the data track. So how about you talk a little bit about the Java track?
Okay, I can do that. It's so hard. Who loves Java, right? The first share, a friend of mine who's Bruno Souza, who is here, by the way, usually talk about that, and I really believe that. I mean, it's an important point. Share what you know. And the conference is a good way to do that, to help people. It's not about you. The second point, think how you can help people to learn some framework, some language on Java. Because, for example, you start to learn about Java 17. Why another people should learn about this new language, the new version of Java 17, for example? If you have any user case or some failure case, right? Because sometimes we put some highlights in Souza's case, but yeah, learn with the mistakes are important too. And okay, news features, Souza's case, failure case, Q&A process is something like that. Okay, those to me are important points to submit to Java track.
Mute.
Who is mute right now?
It's his first time doing that. Have some patience, Otávio.
Oh man. Okay, all right. So yeah, so thanks a lot, Otávio. This is great. Eyal disappeared for a minute, but I think he's still here. So thanks a lot, Otávio. Thanks a lot, Rodrigo. Thanks a lot, Eyal. Eyal, if you can come back, we're just gonna end here. So it would be better to end with you instead of without you, right? But Alberto say thank you guys, great tips. So that's awesome. So thanks everyone for being here. I'm just gonna say, bad. Oh, okay. Eyal has bad audio. Okay, so Rodrigo saying the New York Java SIG lightning talks. Do you want to talk about that, Rodrigo?
Yeah, sure. I think that's one big opportunity. I think for Lorena that was said that the talks in Portuguese ended. I want to say, if you want to start as a speaker, the NY Java SIG, you can look on Twitter for the NY Java SIG. It's the New York Java user group. On June 9th, we're going to be doing a round of lightning talks only for people that are aspiring to be a speaker. Okay, it's not for experienced speaker. If you ever presented before, I think that's not the main. We want to help people who are starting to speak or have never give a presentation before. Okay, so the talks are going to be 5 to 10 minutes. They're really short talks. You're going to be able to select your topic you talk about whatever you want. Okay, so follow the NY Java SIG on Twitter so to stay tuned when on how we're going to make you to submit your talk. And if you're looking to take your career to the next level, I think that's a very good opportunity.
Okay, that's awesome. So everyone here, thanks very much for being here with us. Thanks very much for watching all these. You got I know we went a little bit over, and I'd like to thank all our speakers here for being here with his all this time and answering all the questions. I don't think we missed any question. And really on this live here today, we learned how to select topics, how to do your title, how to do your description, how to think about your audience, how to submit a talk to an event. And I think you have everything right now to go to the TDC website and submit your talk, right? This is a great event. TDC is I'm gonna put the URL here again on the chat one more time, right? But TDC is an event that it's very, very friendly to beginners, right? So Rodrigo is talking about, you can submit to the New York Java SIG because they're accepting beginners, and that's great. And also TDC is the same thing, right? TDC is an event that's very, very friendly to very, very friendly to the community, to beginners, right? So so go there, submit, because that's going to be an awesome thing, right? So I say here, Alberto says thank you all, right? Evandro says, thank you for all. This is very important for to spread out information. Scott says, how about your free book? I did give a free book. I'm just going to put this again here really quick, Scott, for you, right? The Low Hanging Talks. That's the book. I put the URL earlier here, right? Rodrigo is putting here the Twitter for the New York Java SIG. So I'm going to paste here on the chat so you guys can see here the Twitter for the New York Java SIG. And okay, so that's the new book. I mean, that's the free book. And one more time, I really do think you should go and submit your talk to TDC, right? Yep. TDC is a great event. You have 1 week, right? 1 week still to submit your talk. So I think it's a great moment for you to do that. Use our tips and use that. Great tip, says Hugo. Thanks a lot, everyone. And okay, let me remove this thing from here. Awesome. Thanks, everyone, and especially thanks Rodrigo. Thanks, Eyal. Thanks, Otávio, for being here with us. And we're going to do this one more time, right? Before the end of the call for papers, we're going to do this one more time to help you submit a great talk for TDC and any other event that you want to participate. Thanks a lot, everyone. See ya.